This video is going to be an update on what's been happening in my life and also what's been up with the YouTube channel. And since it's a bit personal, I figured why not shoot it in my bed, because it's like, I'm letting you guys in a little bit on my life. So what a visual storyteller this guy is. It's crazy. I haven't really been doing much on YouTube prior to like a few weeks ago. I took a long break from streaming and wanted to start again in October with like a bunch of horror games. But then a bunch of life events happened, so I ended up taking away more time from streaming and making content for this channel too. I should probably start with a summary of what's been going on with me, and I'll do it in chronological order, as best I can. So Ray and I were having relationship issues because of things that happened in the past. And at the beginning of the year, I decided that I needed to live in my own space to clear my head and heal. When our lease ended in the summer, I moved into this apartment. I traded space for location and convenience because I'm closer to the city and I can walk to more places, but I'm paying almost the same amount as when we were living in the previous place, which had one bedroom and one den, it was essentially a 2-bedroom for about this price. So and I have like half the space. When we first visited Denver to scope the place out, this area is actually where I wanted to stay because this was like my favorite area we went to when we first visited. I ended up just settling for the first place that we were at because it was closer to work and it was a pretty good deal in terms of just how much it cost. But while we were living apart, we were still trying to repair things, and things took a turn for the worse around summer. Around the end of September, I finally felt like I reached the point of healing, reflection, and growth that had been slowly accumulating since a few years ago, to be confident in the fact that the relationship was something I wanted to continue. The next few months were rough. I had a bad gut feeling that was supplemented with distance. I was doing my best to show my growth and how much I've changed, but I felt like I wasn't really being given the chance to be received. If you saw the last video I posted, which was about the Chainsaw Man movie, fucking good movie, by the way. There were parts where I talked about love and the way it was conveyed. Writing and recording that part hit harder because that was the last movie we saw together.
I just want to say real quick, guys, love is amazing. And I honestly think it's one of the reasons we're alive. I hope all of you out there have experienced or are going to experience falling in love or being in love the way that the pool scene and festival scene convey.
But she made the decision that she didn't want to try again a little after Halloween, and I was devastated. While all that was going on in my love life, I was also having issues with my job. Now that I don't work there anymore, I can talk shit because United has a social media team that literally just monitors the internet for mentions of the company name. And they will get you so fast if they find out you posted something bad for the company on your socials. United sucks, and it's far worse than the headlines that they've had over the last few years. Like, if we didn't have a union, this is just speaking from the worker side of things, not just how like they discriminate against customers and people. If we didn't have a union, I know that they would take way more advantage of us than they already were, and they were like pushing that shit to the limit. But around the beginning of October, I was suspended. So as they decided if they were gonna fire me or not, they were basically trying to fire me for using government-approved medical leave. I feel like I've told this story so many times with like so many people, kind of similar to like the story of me and Ray. I'm just gonna keep this as short as I can because I'm tired of talking about it and I'm kind of just ready to move forward. So they decided to fire me after the hearing with the union coming to my defense. Then we had one more attempt at reversing the decision by escalating it to the district rep and presenting my case once again. By the way, after each hearing, they take almost a month to come to a decision, sometimes more. So I would just be left there in like limbo waiting while not getting paid. And I decided to just treat it like I was not gonna get the job back and started trying to find new opportunities. And it was a good thing I did that because after the last meeting we had, like near the end of November, a little bit before Thanksgiving, they let me know a few days before Christmas that I was not getting my job back. So heartbreak compounded with the loss of my job, which was so bad for my mental health because of how attached my self-worth was to my financial security and accomplishments. And notice how I said was, because it's not as big of a deal anymore. But to make it worse, I also decided to close Adjustn for 3 reasons. So 1, I needed a break because I was burning out. 2, I needed to recover financially, especially since I don't have a job. And 3, it was to focus more on my relationships. And the last part, I decided on that like while I was still talking to Ray. I still went through with the decision to close Adjustn temporarily, even though like we're not talking. So yeah, I mean, obviously that makes me feel bad because at the time and still a bit now, like I try not to think of it as like a failure because obviously it's just a needed break. But it was just a lot of stuff stacking, and naturally I needed money, so I had to sell my Sony A7S III, and I was pretty bummed about it because like for a long time, video has been part of like who I am and my identity, and I did take like a long break from it, especially since I started working at United. But still, like, it was important to me, and there's like a lot of stuff I shot with that camera, and I still felt like I wanted to shoot more things. That was gone. I needed the money, but this isn't like the first time I've had a big financial hurdle where I had to get rid of stuff like that, like that was, I guess, important to me. I remember there was like at least two other times in my life where I had to get rid of some camera gear just to kind of pay for some stuff. But it always ended up coming back, and like I would be able to afford something better later once I recover from whatever the hell was happening. So I figure it's just another one of those, and then I'll come back even better. But it's just kind of hard to see these things in the moment. But all these things kind of just came together to form the strongest depression in history, or the strongest depression of today. So I basically had my own equivalent of Gojo and Sakuna fused, but in the form of depression. Like it was bad. Like I'm talking about like wanting to end things bad. Thankfully, I'm in a much better headspace now compared to November, and it really just feels like this is the next stage of my life. I feel like I'm emerging from a cocoon. It always feels like the biggest changes in your life, like the catalyst is always like some sort of loss, or it's just like some major events that trigger these rapid changes in your personality or like your growth. You kind of just hate that you're going through it, but you just have to go through these things, and then like you just come out on like better for it. Yeah, so naturally this gave me a renewed interest in doing a lot of things, living my life, expanding, and just taking more steps to be the person I want to be. When the depression was really bad, I was fighting it by trying to establish routines. And one thing that really helped was taking daily walks. Because rotting in your room is a good way to stay in a constant fight with rumination. It's crazy how much of a difference a change of scenery can have. It's like walking around and exploring reminded me of how big the world is, and that, these things pass. Even if you can't see it in the moment, they do pass. And also just the different energies from the places and the people. It kind of helped me instead of staying in a space of negativity with my own thoughts. Yeah, combining these walks with working out more, I was kind of just thinking of it as like me happy chemical maxing basically with like physical activity. But it's always been helpful to have some physical activity for ADHD, but even more so if you're depressed. And yeah, I know it's cliche that everyone's like, oh, you're depressed? Just go to the gym, lol. I mean, cliches exist for a reason. It works. Like, you don't have to go to the gym, but just find some physical activity that you like, Because being active and forcing your body to move really helps with processing emotional and mental baggage. Because the mind and body work like hand in hand. The stress and mental issues that you don't deal with usually manifest in physical illness, but it also works the other way around. Taking care of your body and being mindful can help process these like things you're dealing with in your head. So I started being more physically fit, which was having a positive effect on my mind and body, with the added bonus of my confidence too, since my body was looking better too. I was also putting myself out there more and making new friends. I've been growing more confident, which I feel like lately has been a really big thing because just over the last few years, it feels like that's something I've had to reclaim for myself. And I just remembered how good I actually am with people. And it's like I'm the person I was in college where I was pretty social, but this time I have like all these new things I've learned and I can apply it to these new interactions and situations. So it almost feels like coming back to a level you've already completed, but like with better stats. I was also just kind of working on reframing the way I think about things and like the story I tell myself about my life. And yeah, I mean, like my attachment style went from avoidant to secure. It's becoming a lot easier now to be myself and show up authentically. And it feels so much better combining that with like the ease of socializing, because now when I vibe with people, especially if like, we just met, at least I know that they're vibing with like the real me and not the watered down people pleaser version. I also feel way more emotionally intelligent, and I just know more of what I want in love and how I can be a better person slash partner. So overall, I'm pretty optimistic for the new year. I just hope that I can secure some sort of income before my birthday so I can at least treat myself a little bit. I have a bunch of new projects that I want to do this year. I'm really excited to share it with you guys. I don't want to mention them here until I've started on them because I don't want to psych myself out on like starting. But the first thing I'm working on is a one-shot manga, and I don't mind sharing that because I'm almost done writing it and I just need to draw it afterward, which is probably going to take longer because I'm going to try and live up to the expectations in my head. And I also want to introduce something I want to call Mouse Mondays. So as either like little clips that we throw in the videos or like little bits or just whole videos, because I feel like, you know, the girls should be documented and given the spotlight for how important they are to me. And if you're new to the channel or you're just new to me, I call my mice the girls because the naming convention that Ray and I gave them was that they were all gonna have a spice in their name. So they're the Spice Girls, and they all have like comedically long names, except for like when they're really rotund, we just give them one name because it's funnier. It's tough being a single mouse dad, but I can love them enough for two. But at this point, you know the deal. This is where I e-beg, so like, subscribe, check out the gaming channel, and join the Discord. There's a link in the channel and on the description. And I will see you guys real soon. Happy New Year.
And you know what? I was like, why would I record myself in the bathtub? And you know what? Fuck it. If other people are gonna make money, like using their bodies to their advantage, I might as well do it too. To a certain extent, you're never gonna see anything below the waist unless you hack me or you are in love with me, and I'm also in love with you. But that's not gonna happen. So, yeah. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, we have a Discord server that was originally started for the stream, but might as well just lump both communities in together. Yeah, this is the outro for the video, so I'm gonna relax.